All right, true believers, Elite Legend, back at you to take a look at the 2018 Marvel Legend Vintage Wave. Now, for 2 years running, this Marvel Legends wave has been my most anticipated set of the year. Now, some of you might say that these figures are just repaints, or that we're being ripped off by not having Build-A-Figure parts. But to me, these figures are worth their price alone just for the packaging. And they also make a loose collector like myself want to keep them in on card. While I'll be unboxing this year's wave, let the truth be known that last year's set still sits mint on card in the Elite Legends collection room. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at what, in my opinion, is the most controversial figure of this line. Controversial why? Well, because the character featured here was not originally released in the Toy Biz line of which this vintage wave is paying homage to. As a matter of fact, this character wasn't even in existence during that glorious time in the early 90s. Now, while many collectors were satisfied with the 2015 rendering of the Scarlet Spider from the Rhino Build-A-Figure wave, I feel that this is a much more comic accurate depiction, being the vintage wave figure. Let's take a closer look at Scarlet Spider. And you see here, he comes with the unmasked head. He comes with 2 whipping hands and 2 fists. He also has his very 90-esque pouches at his ankles. And of course, he's wearing his signature sleeveless hoodie. Now, you can see here, we also have the 2015 Rhino Build-A-Figure Scarlet Spider. Now, this Scarlet Spider has been on display in my collection since I got him in 2015. Very happy with this figure. But today we're going to find out if the vintage wave figure is going to be able to supplant the 2015 Scarlet Spider from my display. So let's take a look at them side by side. And now we're taking a look at them side by side. As you see here, we have the vintage wave, and here we have the 2015 Rhino wave Scarlet Spiders. Both of them have the same articulation, just different coloring. I prefer the metallic sheen here and the darker color for Scarlet Spider. I also like the darker sleeveless hoodie. What I don't prefer here is, well, I like the gauntlets, the web shooters, they're more accurate. There's no shading on here. The belt and the pouches also do not have the same quality of shading that the 2015 Scarlet Spider received. And as you can see here, totally different gauntlets. And in case you guys are wondering, the belts, the pouches, and the gauntlets are all removable. Another big difference here is you can see that the eyes are much more comic accurate on the vintage wave figure. It does not have the black outline that the 2015 Rhino Build-A-Figure wave Scarlet Spider has. Simple repaint, different accessories. This figure, I feel, is more comic accurate. It comes with the additional head. Comes with the whipping hands. We get shorted a set of hands. We don't have the open wall crawling hands that the Rhino wave figure came with. Remember, this set came with 3 sets of hands. He came with the fists, he came with the wall crawlers, and the 2 whipping hands as well. He also came with the 2 Rhino Build-A-Fig heads. So many can say that there was much more quality in that particular offering. But for a $20 price point, I'm not complaining. I was also able to pretty much preserve the packaging. Not that I plan on reboxing this figure, but it's kind of cool that I was able to kind of preserve it, but still see that it's not collector-friendly packaging unless you are, in fact, a mint-on-card collector. So now the big decision is the 2015 Scarlet Spider going to remain in Elite Legends display, or will the Vintage Wave Scarlet Spider supplant him and become my main Scarlet Spider? And the winner is Vintage Wave Scarlet Spider will stay in my, will actually take his place in my display. All right, so now we see Scarlet Spider striking a pose. This is how I'm going to fit him into my display. Now, one thing that I wanted to mention, the additional unmasked head of Ben Reilly gives collectors, and there's no secret, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. A lot of individuals have been doing this. This wave has been out for quite a few months. A lot of individuals have been taking this additional head and essentially turning this figure into a 2-in-1 opportunity and using it to pop it onto the Reed Richards body, the Walgreens exclusive Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four. And when you take that Ben Reilly head, it gives you the opportunity to have a non-flame-on version of the Human Torch. This is one of the reasons I was excited about receiving this Scarlet Spider figure. But once I got the figure in hand, I ended up realizing that this is the figure that's actually going to supplant the Scarlet Spider in my collection from the 2015 Rhino Build-A-Figure wave. One other thing that I wanted to point out was how I wish that when they did this update, they would have given him the Pizza Spider butterfly joints. But, of course, this is a repaint line, so that wasn't going to be something that they were going to go out and budget for. So there you go. There you have it. We have a powered down Johnny Storm and a Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider that is much more comic book accurate, which makes Elite Legend a very happy camper. All right, true believers, next up, we are going to be taking a look at the Ant-Man. Ant-Man is back in the public eye. He has been appearing in movies for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm not a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan. I like the movies, but I am not a fan of the figures. Strictly comic book versions here for the Elite Legend. And now we're taking a look at the Scott Lang Ant-Man. As you can see here, this figure comes packaged with a miniature Wasp. And right away, you can see the helmet. This is not the comic accurate helmet. This is actually a repaint of the Walgreens exclusive Black Ant-Man, which disappoints Elite Legend. Now let's take a look at as you see here over to the right, we can see the Scott Lang Ant-Man from the 2006 Toy Biz Giant Man Build-A-Figure wave. Now, as you guys recall, the Toy Biz line, they came with the Build-A-Figure piece, and it came with a removable helmet and also a comic book. Now, again, many of you say how this line only gives you a figure, doesn't have really any accessories, and it also does not give you a Build-A-Figure piece. However, I love the retro packaging. This figure is probably going to remain mint on card because I do not see myself replacing the Scott Lang figure from the 2006 Ant-Man wave. Let's take a closer look at that figure. Okay, so now we're taking a look at them side by side. On the right, we see, still in the package, we see the Ant-Man. He has the Pizza Spider articulation, but he has that inaccurate helmet that is not removable. Well, the Black Ant one was not removable, so I don't anticipate this one being removable. Although I'm just going to keep him in on card. I like the look of it. But you can see on the left we have the 2006 Toy Biz Giant Man version. Doesn't have the best looking articulation at the shoulders. Doesn't have butterfly joints, but he still has the ab crunch. Still has double jointed knees and elbows. His hands articulate, and he does have an ankle pivot. And his helmet is removable. So it looks like the Ant-Man from 2006 is going to retain his spot in Elite Legends collection. So now we are taking a look at the Wasp in her blue outfit. She comes packed in with a miniature Ant-Man. And I really appreciate Hasbro giving us a copy of the blue Wasp. The blue outfit Wasp was one of the most sought after Toy Biz figures. It was a variant from the 2006 MODOK Build-A-Figure wave. Now, in my collection, the Wasp that I have on display, I have a couple of them. I have the miniature version. I also have the 3 3/4 Marvel Universe version. But this is my main Wasp. Let's bring her into the picture here. This is my main Wasp, and she is from the 2015 Ultron Build-A-Figure wave, the Ant-Man wave, which had a Build-A-Figure of Ultron, which was very undesirable, very lackluster. They made a much better version of the Ultron this year, which is quite a coincidence since we're also getting a better version of the Wasp, and a classic one at that. Now this version actually is reminiscent of the actual 2006 Toy Biz figure. Has pretty similar attire. And of course, the blue outfit would have been the variant that almost no one owns. So we're going to take a look, and we're going to take a look at the Wasp out of the package, and we're going to see if she has what it takes to make it into Elite Legends display. Okay, so now we have the Wasps out of the packaging. We have the 2015 Ultron Build-A-Figure Wasp, which has been in my display for the last 3 years, and we have the blue attire Vintage Wave Classic Wasp. Now, I apologize for the vanilla poses here. I don't have my hair dryer with me. A lesson that I learned back when I built the Jubilee Build-A-Figure is that the women figure articulation is very, very brittle. Also, you can see there they don't stand very well. The wings are kind of heavy, but the articulation is very brittle on these figures, and if you haven't posed them in a while, or if you're taking them straight out of the package, you might want to heat them with a hair dryer before you start to articulate them, unless you want them to snap like my Build-A-Figure Jubilee. So as you see here, both figures, I never was a fan of this Wasp. I didn't like the Toy Biz one. This was an upgrade of that version. I've been waiting for a classic version of the Wasp, and this is going to be my classic version Wasp. As you see, these wings, very beautiful wings. They're white, kind of pearlescent. The way the light hits them. I'm wearing a pinkish shirt right now, so you might be picking up the color of my shirt, but this is a beautiful figure. I love the classic outfit. I love the wings. This is going to be my main displayed Marvel Legend Wasp. Now, without further ado, we're going to take a look at the next figure in this vintage wave, and that's going to be the Black Panther. So Black Panther, this figure comes with 2 fists, 2 claws, and 2 fireballs. He also comes with a necklace. And he's also wearing a belt. No paint apps on here. The figure is just black. But it is very appropriate This is a figure that I was excited about getting. It looks better in person than it did when I was looking at reviews online. Now, this is a figure that I've been using on my display for quite a while. This is from the 2013 Rocket Raccoon Build-A-Figure wave. Yes, there was a Rocket Raccoon Build-A-Figure wave. This was for the return of Marvel Legends in the Hasbro line. So this is a Hasbro Black Panther. This was, for a while, very sought after. Now, taking a look at this figure, a while ago, I realized that the legs were on backwards. Poor quality control here. So I never got around to fixing it, but let's see if that's even going to be an issue, because this figure may not be on my display any longer. If this one is able to supplant it in my collection. So let's go ahead and open this bad boy up and compare these two. And now we have the Black Panther out of the packaging over on the right. I don't really like this necklace. I will be removing it. There is no paint app on it. It's just molded in that same silver plastic. The head scan is a little large, but I kind of like it. It's not on a Bucky cap. It looks like this is the Grim Reaper mold. Not a lot of clearance here at the shoulders. However, thankfully the figure is all black, so there wouldn't be any paint rub. However, the plastic may get chewed up a bit. And when you look at this figure in person, at first I thought it was just black. However, it is a bit metallic. Now, if you see the Return of Marvel Legends version of the Black Panther, formerly very sought after, but it looks like they went a little overboard with the blue shading. It kind of looks like the Blue Panther. So this is going to be my new Black Panther. I'm not going to use the fireballs. I'm not going to be using this necklace. He's just going to go into my Avengers display, and he's going to go in, and this guy had a good run. 5 years. He may be be put up on the market. If anybody's interested, hit me in the comments below. I may sell him off, or I might find another display for him. Still like the figure. Gonna definitely fix up the miscue here on the legs, but for right now, we have a new addition to my display, and it is the vintage version of the Black Panther, replacing the Return of Marvel Legends Black Panther. And now we are taking a look at the Vision. Now, this Vision figure is a welcome addition to many of us classic Marvel Legend collectors. Those of you may recall, we have received many different Visions in the Toy Biz line. We've received a couple of Hasbros, but none in his classic attire. Now, while we did receive classic renderings in Toy Biz line, none of them were really any good. So let's take a look at this vintage one here. As you see, he comes with the Ultron head, comes with his classic costume. You see his outfit, the classic green and yellow. He has a metallic sheen to him, which is a trend with this line as it appears. And now we're going to take a look at the Toy Biz Series 7 Ares Build-A-Figure Vision. It's not a bad figure. I know I said that there haven't been any really good Vision figures. This is a decent figure for its time. 2007. We are now on the cusp of 2019. This figure was in dire need of an update. It has his articulation. He has a lot of articulation, but this figure tends to become very loose. This is the same type of body mold, I believe, that was on Electro. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is a figure that does not hold up. Still love the scan. The cape is cool, but the figure just doesn't hold up, and it was in dire need of an update from Hasbro. and I am glad that Hasbro was able to come through with a classic rendering in this vintage wave. As you see, the vintage figure comes with an Ultron head packaged with him. Does not come with any interchangeable hands. He just has a couple of fists. But there are some collectors that have been able to add some different hands to their vision to give him the ability to have some different type of poses rather than just throwing fisticuffs. Now we're going to take Vision out of the packaging and do a side-by-side. And here we see the vintage wave Vision side-by-side with the Toy Biz Ares Build-A-Figure Wave Vision from 2004. As you see, the metallic sheen. Head's a little oversized. I really prefer this head scan to this classic one. I like metallic sheen for 90s era figures. Not sure if I like the metallic sheen for the Vision. However, the aesthetics of this figure, you can definitely see a drastic improvement over the Toy Biz rendering. As you see, this does not have a toe articulation, but it does have all the articulation that you would come to expect from Marvel Legends, the double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. It has articulation at the boot. It also has the ankle pivot, and he does have the cool butterfly hinge there that you find on the Sunfire body mold. I don't like how the cape just lays flat. If you're trying to go with some dynamic poses, this might be the better cape to go with. I'm gonna try and see if it fits, but this is a no-brainer. This Vision had a good long run in my display, but it is now time for an upgraded Vision to take over in my Avengers shelf. And then there was one. Now this figure is the one that I was looking forward to the most. Now this is the most anticipated figure in my most anticipated wave of the year. So this is a big deal to me. It might not be to many of you guys, but to Elite Legend, this is an amazing figure. And this is a figure that I have been waiting for such a long time. In the Odin wave, we received a Hawkeye, but he had the metallic arm or the bionic arm. Not feeling it. Couldn't even make it into my collection. I was sticking with the Series 7 Toy Biz Hawkeye that I paid a lot of money for, and I had to suffer a lot of embarrassment over. He looked kind of flimsy, especially when you started to add Hasbro figures into your collection. Wouldn't stand up straight, always falling over. It's kind of like having a drunk girlfriend. It might be a party at some point, but eventually it kind of gets old. Now, this figure, this Hawkeye, comes with his bow and quiver. Not a fan of this. Not a fan of his little quiver bag there. Not a fan of that bow. Both of them are pretty generic, but I do love the chainmail and his tunic. I love the design. It's a very classic rendering. The only thing I don't like is the oversized head, which is the same head from the Odin figure. Overall, this is the same figure from the Odin wave. However, it does not have that bionic arm. But let's take a look at the Toy Biz version. This is the version. It's very beautiful if you look at it. The paint work is very artistic, very classic. Let me get a better look here. Let's zoom in on him here. You see him on this ridiculous legendary rider contraption. He has his bow, and if you take a look at his quiver, take a look at this. This is embarrassing, is what it is. But like I said, he's sloppy. He's always falling around. But if you look at his bag, look at the detail on this. And every one of these bows, except for these 4 on the left, every one of them is removable. I know you guys have seen it before, but for those of you who have not seen it, let's take a closer look at each one of these. Here you see one with AntMan attached. Here's 3 other ones. As you can see, each one of them is unique. These don't come out. The bag is removable. And I apologize for the camera work. My production crew, which is the lovely Alita, is still recovering from giving birth. So I'm flying solo with the camera today and the tripod. As you can see, very classic looking Hawkeye. Love the figure, but he's just so loose. I always have to do the hot water, cold water, the hair dryer to straighten the legs out, but they always end up getting bowed. Outdated articulation, very skinny, very flimsy. But love that bow and quiver. This is, it's an extra. This is an accessory. This is something that was packaged in with the figures back then. Figure came with a comic book and this contraption and all of those bows and his quiver. But let's unbox this Hawkeye so we could take a closer look at these guys. And now we see Hawkeye out of the packaging, and right away you can just see how he's a much more imposing figure. I don't like the head sculpt. I prefer this head sculpt, but this one will be much too small on this body. I don't know, maybe I'll try it. The skin tones are a little bit different, but shouldn't be too tough to match these up. Here you can see the pouches, they really cheaped out of here. These don't even resemble pouches. They just look like armbands. Much better sculpting. But again, Toy Biz went that extra mile. Here you see he does have the classic articulation. He's a Bucky cap mold. Here there's a little bit of extra. There's a little bit of extra plastic there. I'm going to cut that off. I have his quiver attached. Nothing impressive here. It's the same quiver that you saw with the Odin Build-A-Figure set. None of these are removable. Just snaps right into his back. Comes with the same very cheap bow. Whereas the Toy Biz version has this pretty cool bow. Has a string there. And again, he has all these different arrows there. Now, what I'm going to probably end up doing is I'm going to go ahead and remove this, give it to him, and at some point I'm going to try changing the head, seeing if that's a good fit. Okay. So for now, it's pretty obvious that this is going to be the new Hawkeye representative on my Avengers shelf. This one had a good run. It's been embarrassing. It's been the best of times. It's been the worst of times. But at the end of the day, it was a little too sloppy. He overstayed his welcome. And it's time for Hawkeye to retire. So let's take a look at the group shot of the Marvel Legends from the Vintage Wave that will be joining my display. And here we see the group shot. So as you can see, it was almost a clean sweep. However, the Ant-Man from the Giant Man Build-A-Figure Wave from Toy Biz is the last man standing from my previous display. The Wasp, Hawkeye, Black Panther, Vision, and Scarlet Spider from the 2018 Marvel Legend Vintage Wave have all replaced the previous versions. So it is the end of the road for some, but new beginnings for many. Speaking of new beginnings, we have a new year upon us. Bigger and better things from the Tag Team Toy Collectors. Bigger and better things from Elite Legend. My 100 subscriber giveaway is still coming up. I will be giving away the Thing, the Walgreens exclusive Thing, very soon. Stay tuned. Check out all the content from the Tag Team Toy Collectors. Check out our live streams. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. Hit that notification button. And help a small channel grow. Until next time, make mine Marvel. You guys have a happy new year. Thank you to all the subscribers, all of my friends, and just again, wish you all a happy and safe new year.